Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming in to watch this video. I hope you guys had a great day today. Obviously, it wasn't a great day in the markets. Bitcoin was down quite a bit, well, quite a lot actually. Dropped quite a bit. We'll take a look at what's going on there with the miners themselves, as always. We'll also take a look at Hut 8 providing their combined merger of the two companies, Hut 8 and USBTC, for the production update for November. A lot of interesting information in that, so we'll get into that. We'll look at my numbers for that as well, where I have them at right now. And then we'll also take a look at the weekly performance. We didn't do that yesterday. I was a little bit busy. So we will get to it today. So again, thank you so much for coming in. And as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Please, please, please do your own research and invest in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps the channel out a lot, especially hitting the like button. That will definitely help things out. Okay, so let's take a look at the markets here really quick, what's happening on those today. And we can see that Bitcoin was down quite a bit here. We've been kind of talking on the chat on the Discord with the Patreon members as far as what could be happening. A lot of people were saying that they wanted to see, obviously, a dip come down because we've gone up quite a bit here in the last, well, basically 8 days or something like that. We've also had quite a few weeks where we were in the green as well. If we look at the weekly here, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks that we were in the green. We needed a little bit of healthy pullback just to kind of get things back down a little bit. So this was definitely overdue. I didn't know when it's going to happen. But like I said in the chats down there, I said, it would be nice. I would love it if it did happen. So it did happen today, and I did go shopping today, because on days like this, it's times like this, you want to be greedy when others are fearful, and you want to be fearful when others are greedy. Excuse me. And this was one of those days where I just thought, I'm going to go in a little bit more. So I did buy some more Bitfarm shares. I wanted to get a little bit more in that because of the growth that they are having. So I got in at $2.30 right around the afternoon hours, and that obviously helped me get a little bit more shares. I got 200 more shares on that, and I still have a little bit more to deploy if I want to. So I'll see where things go tomorrow, but just doing a little dollar cost averaging into the markets here. But nonetheless, let's get back into Bitcoin here. Bitcoin's doing really well right now. I like the fact that we did pull back, and I think this is healthy for the market, for Bitcoin, for the miners themselves. They were going up just a little bit too much here. So if we look at the daily back here, we can see that the RSI is back down to a nice healthy level of 57, 58 roughly. That's a good sign. We're back down to where we were before at 38,000. We're at 41,500 right now, roughly. That's a good sign there on the forward chart. You can see that we actually dipped below the 30 mark here, which then tells us that we were oversold, and we did bounce a little bit from there, which is good. And then on the 1 hour chart, we can see the same thing. We did that a couple of times, and we're kind of going back up a little bit here. So overall, I think this is healthy. We may have another day or so of this. We'll see how long this lasts. But otherwise, dollar cost averaging if you can. It's definitely healthy, I think, for the long term of Bitcoin going up, possibly. Okay, so that's just my views on that one. And then we did have a bunch of longs. Excuse me. We did have a bunch of longs get liquidated. I think people just got a little bit too exuberant in Bitcoin going up, and there were just too many longs, so we had to get those liquidated a little bit. Okay, so as far as the market is concerned here, we can see that pretty much all the miners were down today. Some were down 25% like Annie here. Otherwise, most of them were down double digits, somewhere in teens. BitDigital was down 18.5%. BitDeer was down 10. Bitfarms was down 12. Cypher was down 15. CleanSpark was down 14% on the day. Chorus was down only 8%. DigiHost down 14. DMG down 15. Greenidge was down 9.5. Hive was down 10.5 roughly. Hut 8 was down 13.7%. Iris down 13.9. Marathon down 12.7 roughly. Mawson was down 13.3. Riot 11.4%. Solana, the only bright spot in today, was actually up 7.86%. I didn't see any news or anything like that on them, so that's kind of surprising that they were actually up. Stronghold was down 13.85, and Wolf was down 22%. So overall, pretty bad day for the miners. But if you're dollar cost averaging, buying in more, this was a great day. This was a sale, right? WGMI was also down, which is an ETF. That one was down 13.56. BITQ was down 9.43. DAP was down 10.82. And BKCH was down 10.96. So a red day, good day to go buying. I didn't, fret over it. I was like, oh man, I was like, great, I get to buy more at a lower cost. So we'll see where things go tomorrow. If they dip a little bit more, I'll buy some more. So I love these kind of days, right? I also love the days when we go up 17, 18%, 20%, whatever it might be, 10% even. But these days are also great, especially as you're trying to dollar cost average in and get more shares before things really start going up. Okay. So that's it on that one. Let's take a look at our story that we do have here for Hut 8. It is pretty interesting here with the combined numbers that we do have for them. So Hut 8 operations update for November 2023. And we'll kind of go through this a little bit here. So they do have at the end of the month here, at the end of November, 9,129 BTC, which is a little bit of an improvement from what they had in October. It looks like they sold quite a bit here. Let's take a look at the numbers down here. Okay, so here's HUT's 8 expanded digital asset mining geographical footprint now includes the following sites. So here are the sites. We have Alpha, which is in Niagara Falls. That is HUT 8 owned, and that is a 50 megawatt capacity, self-mining. And then we got Charlie, which is in Kearney, Nebraska. That's managed. That's 100 megawatts. Self-mining is part of that as well. Delta, which is in Granbury, Texas. That's managed as well. And that's 300 megawatts potential energy capacity. Foxtrot is Medicine Hat, which is now Alberta, Canada. And that's HUT 8 owned, 67 megawatts there. Golf, which is Drumheller, Alberta as well. HUT 8, 42 megawatts there, and that's all self-mining. They have managed services at Charlie, Delta, and Echo, and then hosting is at Alpha and Echo. Okay, so a lot of, looks like military terms or military name conventions. Notes, important parts to take a look at here. HUT 8's managed services subsidiaries lead all aspects of site operations, including accounting, curtailment, and customer relations at Charlie and Delta sites, which are owned by multi-billion-dollar sustainable infrastructure investment firm. The managed services subsidiaries are also lead all aspects of site operations at the Echo site. So we got Delta, Charlie, and Echo are the ones that are basically mostly the managed sites. Also, Echo, which is King Mountain, Texas, that's a joint venture. So I think they have like 50% on that one, which they stayed over here. The company has a 50% membership interest in the Echo site. The remaining 50% membership interest is held by a Fortune 200 renewable energy producer. Okay, so with them being 50% on that one, I think they are able to report that as revenue. I don't know if it's 51% that you have to be that, or at least 50%. I know there's some law there as far as on the accounting side of things that states that if you have 50 or greater, I think you can report that as a revenue. If it's less than that, you have to report it as an asset, basically. Okay, going down here. Here's a comment from Jamie Leverton, CEO of HUT 8. As we move forward as a new strengthened team, we are prioritizing improving the efficiency of our self-mining operations, which is good. They need to, because especially in Canada, they had a rough year this year. Particularly in Canada, she states that right there, while simultaneously pursuing near-term growth in initiatives that we believe will more favorably position HUT 8 leading into the new year. So what does she mean by new or near-term growth initiatives basically? What are they talking about there? I'm guessing they're talking about possibly getting newer miners, and they do need newer miners, because when we look at the numbers that I do have for them, they're not the most efficient that they have right now. I did update the numbers, and we're using numbers that they provided here down below. So they provided all the information here. They provided the numbers for October for both the companies, HUT 8 and USBTC, and then they provided the combined mining numbers for November here for both the companies here combined. So total energy capacity under management is 839 megawatts, which is really good. There is obviously a footnote here, 1. We'll take a look at those down below. Total deployed miners under management, 207,399, footnote number 2. Total hash rate under management, 21.6 exahash, footnote number 3. Self-mining, footnote number 4. Let's take a look at those here. So I think these over here are pretty self-explanatory, which includes self-mining, managed services, hosting infrastructure, including 100% energy capacity at the Echo site. Number 2 includes all miners that are racked in self-mining, managed services, and hosting infrastructure with power and networking, including all miners at Echo site. Number 3 includes all self-mining, managed services, hosting, hash rate, including 100% of the hash rate at Echo site. Okay. Number 4, self-mining operations for HUT 8 and USBTC include all operations at the Echo site. This is the one that's kind of got me questioning things. Echo site, we know, is basically a joint venture. So are they reporting the full amount that is at that location, or are they reporting just what is for them self-mining, right? They own 50% stake in that one. So that's got me a little bit confused. I don't know if they're reporting the whole amount here, which would be down here as well, which their deployed hash rate, deployed miners. This is the 7.3, including the 50% that is owned by the other company there. Is that being added to it? If it is, how much is it? We'd like to know that, or at least I would like to know that, because that way I can run my numbers better and then provide actually better metrics for them for their self-mining. Because if it's like another 1 exahash in there that's split between the two companies or something like that, it's a 500 exahash for them, 500x for the other company. That makes obviously a difference here as far as what their operational uptime is each month when I do run my numbers. And I'll show you that here in a second here. So for self-mining, they do have deployed miners of 75,000 and 78, deployed hash rate of 7.3 exahash, Bitcoin produced 390. That is obviously a big increase here for what Hut 8 had by themselves at 112 here. And obviously USBTC has been contributing a large portion of that to that mining right now. Bitcoin balance sheet, 9,129. So we'll go with those numbers here. And then obviously managed services are over here. The other thing that they provided here was when you look at managed services, they provided 17.9 here. Hosting over here was 8.6. And hosting would probably fall under managed services, I would imagine. And then they have 21.6 total hash rate under management. But if you add the 7.3 and the 17.9, that doesn't add up. Even if you add the 8.6 to 17.9, that doesn't add up. So they did actually quantify this here. Number 8, the managed services figures reflected in this table include the self-mining and hosting metrics from the sites where Hut 8's management services business is an additional service layer in the operation of the site at Charlie, Delta, and Echo. As a result, the sum of the self-mining managed services and hosting numbers will not add up to the total energy capacity under management, total deployed miners under management, and total hash rate under management, figures that are also reflected in the table. So a little confusing here. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. But basically what they're saying is here that the total numbers here do not reflect what they actually have in control of, I guess. Something like that. I got to figure this out because that's definitely a brain cruncher there. But that's kind of what we have here. Highlights, you guys can read over those. The operations team began piloting the company's purpose-built software at Hut 8, Foxtrot facility in Medicine Hat, and Gulf site in Drumheller in late November, providing us with more granular reporting on health and efficiency of our mining fleet. That's good because they definitely needed that. They had issues with the machines there. They obviously had issues where the miners were over, I think, drawing energy, I believe it was. Something to do with energy. They were either taking too much energy or basically failing on too much energy. So that, and they were updating the firmwares on those. They were updating the software. They were doing other things as well, trying to get that under control. So they definitely need to get those things fixed. And then in mid-November, Hut 8 launched its high-performance computing cloud portal, which gives new and existing HPC clients direct access to Hut 8's GPUs and seamless control to provision workloads in just minutes through an intuitive web interface. So that's all good there. Obviously, the big thing for them is growth. They need to grow going forward. Okay, so we'll get into these numbers here in a second. Let's take a look at where's Hut 8. Hut 8 is going to be way over here. So Hut 8 has provided the numbers. Okay. Another thing is I did forget to put in the new stock price for these guys here. So that's stock price from last Friday. Okay, so don't shoot me on that one. But here's what we have. Basically, 65 million shares outstanding roughly is what we're calculating. I think it might be like 80-some million shares outstanding when I actually know what that number is. But that's kind of what I calculated as far as what they had based on their market cap being reported on some company websites. But I think it's like, maybe it's more than that. I think it's like 88, something like that. So the market cap would be actually higher than that, maybe roughly around 800 million or something like that. So that has to get updated as we get more accurate numbers from them, okay? The performance of the last 12 weeks has been subpar, I would say. They're only up 7.9% from 12 weeks ago. From 8 weeks ago, they're only up 10%. 4 weeks ago, they're only up 7.9%. And last week, they were actually down 9.69% when they actually merged on Monday. And the combination, well, they merged on Friday, I believe, or Thursday the week prior, but they had the combination of the two companies being represented on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange on Monday. It was when the merger whole thing happened there. Okay, so current hash rate 7.3 is what they report. That's what I have them at. There's no future hash rate growth for them right now. BTC HODL is at 9,129. That's valued about 386 million right now. And then BTC mined monthly. Obviously, with the combination of the two companies, you're going to get a lot more Bitcoin. We had a nice jump here in November, which is nice. Okay, month over month difference. Obviously, a huge increase here. BTC HODL has increased a little bit here by about, what is that? They had 13, so that's 7 and 9. So about 16 BTC were added on in November. Bitcoin BTC per exahash efficiency has improved, which is nice to see. That 53 is still lower than some of the better miners that are out there. They should be in the 60s to mid 60s on this one. BTC sold, they sold 374 Bitcoin here in November. They sold 365 in October. And that could be part of the merger, obviously the deals and the cash needed to finalize everything there. Okay. Hash rate 7.3, big increase from where Hot 8 was by itself at 2.6 roughly. And they weren't operating at that even then. They had obviously issues with some of their facilities. Monthly BTC revenue, huge increase here, obviously with the combined company, but we don't know. The tough part is with this, whenever companies join, is at least, is how good was one company doing compared to another company. And now we have the two companies, so we're at 14.26 million. So that is obviously a good increase. It's basically almost pretty much like a 4x here for them from where they were. So obviously USBTC brought a lot to the table. They also brought debt. Hot 8, however, had a lot more cash and BTC hodl. So it was a good play on that part. Now, the last 4 quarters revenue things is going to be a little bit tricky here going forward with them because now they're a joint company. So we'll see how things play out going forward. We may take a couple quarters to see how things work out with the combined company here going forward. Okay, and also what the cost to mine Bitcoin is. Bitcoin mined quarterly, what that's going to be offset, obviously. Debt to equity, we'll take a look at those numbers here as well when they get reported. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be a tough maybe 1 or 2 quarters here until we get everything figured out what's going on with them. Okay, institutions, pretty much, I checked this back on the 5th, so I don't know if anything has changed since then. It's already the 11th of December. So that may have changed in the last 6 days with the merger and everything else. But that would have been after the merger anyways, right? 5th, yeah. I think that would have been right after the merger. So this is kind of what we have here. The combined company has now 186 institutions, 7.7 million shares, 16.95% of the company is owned by institutions. We still have 1 buy rating, 2 hold ratings, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. And the price target is at $17.70 to $11.35 for the average and low of $7.40. And this was updated to reflect the reverse split on the shares there. And let's take a look down here. Okay. So here's what I did with the miners that they had as far as separate entities. So with Hut 8, I basically removed all of these. I didn't remove them. I just basically made them grayed out because going forward here in November, I'm using the combined numbers that they provided of 75,078 miners at 7.3 exahash. We're getting them at an average of hash rate of 97.2 terahash per miner on average. Now I did have to run some average numbers for as far as what is their joules per terahash rating right now, and I have them at 33.42. We know that USBTC had a lot of those 100 terahash miners. We can see here as far as what Hut 8 has, and until they provide better numbers for us with possibly joules per terahash numbers, this is kind of what we're going by with. So they definitely need to improve that going into the halving event, as we need probably the miners being under 30 joules per terahash. Okay. Moving on here. So that's kind of where we're at right now, going into November. November, we also know that there were a lot of Bitcoin transaction fees added to the miners. Some got it as much as 2 million, some got even more than that, some got even less than that. Hut 8 here, based on the numbers that they provided with what they mined for November, 390 Bitcoins and their hash rate, looks like they were operating for about 27 days, but it was probably less than that because the network transaction fees probably added quite a bit to it. So they were operating for less than 27 days, I'm guessing, because we did not need to add any transaction fees to it. So they came in at 14.257 million. And this is what we got up here as well. Looking at here, 380 Bitcoin at the average Bitcoin price for Bitcoin in November, we got to 14.257 million. This is what we have. Okay, so that all works out there. Now, going forward here with the combined company, I have them at, the 4 months before the halving event at 100%, and then the 8 months after the halving event at 50%. I have them between $8.75 to $13.12. I think they're going to be, where are they at right now? Let's take a look at Hut. Hut 8 is at $8.85 right now, and I have them between $8.75. So I think they're kind of fairly valued right now, but we know the revenue is going to increase going forward. So I would say that they are undervalued right now based on that information. This obviously looks at Hut 8 only information. We don't have the combined information for the last 3 quarters or the current quarter because we just don't have it. So do not pay attention to this. This is kind of what we had for Hut 8 as a single entity. Going forward, we'll get better numbers as they get reported. Okay. But So we'll have to kind of go with the future estimates for them and see where they can end up after that. But yeah, definitely undervalued in my opinion right now based on the combined companies. And let me know what you guys think of it. But it's definitely interesting how they did merge and how they are growing forward. The big thing is they do need to grow, like we've said before, because at 97 or yeah, right around, where are they at? 97 terahash per miner with a joules per terahash of 33. That's pretty bad. They need to improve their fleet. They need to get rid of some of these older machines here, like the 87s, 77s. I'm pretty sure those are probably taken off already, because originally they were supposed to be at 7.5 exahash combined. So I would have taken those out. I would have taken out, obviously, the 87 terahash miners, 89 terahash miners as well, 90 probably even, and then 90, well, you got some 91s, 84 as well in here, probably getting rid of those. Anything under 100 terahash probably would be gone. But yeah, that's definitely going to be tough for them. They definitely need to swap out their equipment for newer, more efficient miners. And now that they have the facilities to do it, I think they can do it. It's just a matter of how fast they can do it before the having event. Okay, that's kind of my thoughts on it. All right, so that's it. Let me know what you guys think of that one. And then let's take a look at the numbers that we do have here for last week. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to go over here to the weekly on the numbers, and numbers were outstanding last week, and that's why I think it was nice that we actually had a pullback today, because it was just needed. We were going up like crazy here in the last couple of weeks. So here are the 52-week lows and 52-week highs. So the interesting spot on this is obviously the green numbers are how far the miners are up from their 52-week lows. The red bars are how far the miners are away from their 52-week highs. Interestingly enough, Bitcoin, Bitfarms, CleanSpark are the only ones that have reached their 52-week highs this year. So they basically have new all 52-week highs. The other miners are still ways away from those, which is also interesting to note here. But we can see obviously Core had a nice week this past week because of the Chapter 11 bankruptcy that they're trying to get out of. They also obviously bottomed out at like 4 cents earlier this year. They're up to 70, 80 cents, something like that. So they had a nice run up here at 1,609% up. Cypher up 661%. Bitfarms up 588%. BitDigital up being up 569 so far this year. CleanSpark 494, right? If you remember in earlier videos, CleanSpark was down towards where Bitcoin is, like 169. So it's had a huge run up here in the last, I would say, probably 2-3 weeks or something like that. It just has outperformed everybody here, which is nice to see. Iris up nicely as well, 470%. Then we got Marathon at 439, Argo 416, Riot, and so on. And you can see where everybody else is stacked up. Now, Bitcoin was actually up 169% on the year so far. This was at the end of Friday of last week. And then you got Hut only 160% up, BitDeer 124%. So those guys are lagging behind Hut 8 or lagging behind Bitcoin. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit of a rally in those guys coming up in the coming weeks, possibly, or after the halving event as well, because they are not quite a lot, but they're lagging behind Bitcoin is what I'm trying to say. Okay, going down here to our weekly performance, we can see here that Sphere had a really good week. Here was up 92.5%. Core was up 75.25% as well, like I said, because they had some pretty good news about the restructuring and when they're going to get out of debt or get out of bankruptcy. That drove the stock up last week. Bitfarms obviously had a huge week as well, 56%. Argo up 50%. Argo, I was surprised that they went up because there really wasn't anything interesting there other than possibly getting a new CEO, but I thought that was reported a week prior to that, but it might not have. But that's obviously driving the stock up. You got CleanSpark up 35%, TeraWolf up 33%, Mawson 27%. And then you can see the rest of these guys here. Bitcoin was only up 14.16%. I say only, but it's been doing really good here. And then Iris, Cypher, DMG, DigiHost, and Hut 8 underperformed Bitcoin for last week. Then when we look at the 8-week or the 4-week numbers, we'll take a look at that as well. I'll just leave it at this as it is. And you can see how things stacked up here from 4 weeks ago. CleanSpark's up the most, 162%, followed by Mawson, 130%. Then you got Bitfarms, 119%. Bitcoin is up only 20%. So the companies that did worse are Core, Cypher, DMG, DigiHost, and Hut 8. Everybody else has done better than Bitcoin here in the last 4 weeks by almost like a 2x, 3x sometimes, or more than that, like a 6x on some of these. So obviously, really good 4 weeks here for the miners. Looking at 8 weeks ago, from 8 weeks ago, we can see CleanSpark, Bitfarms are leading the pack here, followed by Marathon. And then everybody else here, Bitcoin's only up 48%. So you have a couple miners that are below that. You got Hive, Core, Sphere 3D, Cypher, DMG, DigiHost, and Hut 8 also underperforming there. And from 12 weeks ago, we can see here that still CleanSpark and Bitfarms are the leaders here on that. Bitcoin is only up 66%. Well, only. That's a huge increase here. 66% is nothing to smirk about. But the companies that did worse are now Sphere, Core, TeraWolf, Bitdeer. Bitdeer being down 48%. You got Hive as well in that, Iris, Cypher, DMG, and then DigiHost actually has done better, and then Hut is being down at the last end there. So interesting to know, to see how those things have all played out. And then when we look at the data here in the table, we can see here that we're obviously having a lot more weeks that we are in the green than we are in the red. And especially here, if you look at this one's taking into account all the weeks here for all the miners. You can see here that we're having obviously a lot more green weeks than we have in the past. So I think a little pullback is healthy. You can see here that after July, we had a pretty rough span of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 weeks, where basically out of those 13, we maybe had 1 or 2 good weeks with the miners. Other than that, they were all going down. So it was a nice reversal that we've seen here in the last, 12 weeks or so for the miners. This is based on, well, possibly 8 weeks. Yeah, the last 8 weeks have been really good. So we needed a break. So I'm not concerned about it. We may come down a little bit more, not a big deal, but it's all part of the process. So don't fret too much over it. Dollar cost averaging if you can. Obviously not financial advice for you guys, but that's all we got. Let me know what you guys think of all this. As always, the spreadsheets are going to be available to my Patreon members. Those will be uploaded later on tonight when I get done with recording this, getting it published to YouTube for you guys, and then obviously that'll go out there. So membership is still $5 a month. That is limited to, I believe, I have to look, somewhere around 200 members or something like that. After that, it goes up. So jump in on that. It's also $10 off if you do the yearly plan. Okay, so you guys save that way as well. But other than that, I think that's it. We'll see what happens later on this week. We still have quite a few weeks to go before possibly getting the SPY Bitcoin ETF, depending on which way Gary Gensler goes. But you know, it's 90% of the opinion is that it will go through. So we'll see. But all right, I'm rambling on here. We'll leave it at this. Hope you guys have a great night. Have a great week ahead, obviously, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted if anything happens. If not, I probably won't do a video, but if something is interesting happening, we'll do a video. And we may look at some other metrics that we can look at. Okay, that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.